Okay. What is going on, everybody? It's the Fonz, and we're here for AEW on TNT Review for October the 6th, 2021. Tonight, we celebrate 2 years of AEW on TNT, which is coming to an end on January 5th, as this show will be moving to TBS. And we have an announcement pertaining to that later in the show. A 7-man ladder match for the #1 contendership to the AEW Heavyweight Championship. The winner would go on to face Kenny Omega at Full Gear, in my opinion. I think is when it's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. But tonight, we got ourselves something really good. Somebody makes a return. Bobby Fish comes through the Forbidden Door to take on Sammy Guevara. An 8-man tag team match banger to start the show. Sheeta looks for her 50th win of her AEW career. Could she get it done, or would she get taken out by Serena Deeb and have to try again another day? Tonight was a really good show. Now, Tony Khan's really, Tony Khan is so proud of what he's doing every week, and I would be too with everything that's been going on for AEW. But was this the best card we've seen? No, not even close. But Tony Khan himself feels that this was probably the best show they put on, the best card you'll see all year. No, not even close. Full, especially on TV, I would say Grand Slam Night 1 definitely was better, minus that main event, which was utter trash, and we'll get into all that later. But we started off with the 8-man tag team match, the Super Elite as they're known, with Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks, with MT Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler taking on Bryan Danielson, Christian Cage, and Jurassic Express with Marco Stunt. This was the way to start off the 2nd anniversary. Now, AEW has a lot of flack. People don't gives them a lot of flack and have problems with things that AEW do. The one thing that you can agree with that AEW does well 9 times out of 10, maybe 10 times out of 10, is their opening matches are bangers. Their opening matches go out there, set the tone. They were in Philadelphia, the former home of ECW, and so many other events. And tonight, and Philadelphia is one of the best wrestling crowds out there. I think Chicago's up there as well. But Philadelphia really is. If you want to go to a show, if you're able to travel and you can go to a show in Philadelphia for professional wrestling, you go to that show, because my God, the crowd tonight was fucking on fire for this match. Huge Kenny No Balls chant for the crowd. Thank you for that. I'm still waiting for my Kenny No Balls Omega T-shirt with Bryan Danielson saying, with signed Bryan Danielson on the T-shirt. Haven't seen that yet. But the match started, of course. Bryan Danielson got some in. Jungle Boy started off. It was the majority of this match. Of course, Christian Cage actually came in early on. Then Bryan Danielson tagged back in. Jungle Boy tagged back in. And he took majority of the heat for the match. Of course he did. And after he takes the heat, Luchasaurus gets tagged in. Bryan Danielson gets tagged in. All 8 guys just getting all their shit in as they could. Christian Cage takes an indie taker on the outside, so Doc Samson and his crew get him out of there. So it was a 3-on-4 disadvantage for the good guys, and it was a handicap match in favor of the Super Elite. Of course, Brandon Cutler and MT Nakazawa get involved. They spray Christian Cage. They attack Christian Cage to get him out of the match. But Bryan Danielson and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus fought as hard as they could to win this match. In the end, super duper BTE trigger with the Bucks, Cole, and Kenny Omega all hitting it at the same time to take out the Jungle Boy for the 1, 2, 3. And the Super Elite are your winners. Now, one, it's fine that Jungle Boy lost this way because it took all 4 men to hit him with the BTE trigger to get the win. But honestly, I don't think Jungle Boy should have taken the loss here. Honestly, I think it should have been Luchasaurus, just because you'd have that Jungle Boy is higher up in the pecking order when it comes to all the guys on the young talent. You don't really want to beat him like majorly, but the fact that they had to use all 4 guys to put him down makes it okay. Backstage, Jon Moxley said it's been a bit of out of sorts lately, but one thing he wants to make clear: nobody can beat him or submit him. Now they're adding in ladders. You don't think I've been in a ladder match before? No big deal. And not worried though, as he has a 3-month-old at home, and she is insane, which get a huge pop from the Philly crowd. He says this is his company, and that is my belt. It was the only hype we got for the ladder match tonight, by the way. CM Punk comes out to the ring, scouts for some fans, goes for the dive, and actually gets caught this time. CM Punk rings out in the crowd. He asks if he's tired, if you guys are tired of this yet. Says he's keeping the love fest going because you guys aren't tired of this shit yet. Points down to his shoes, which are an expensive pair of Jordans, for whatever reason. Then mentions he came to Hump from beginning to talk about how back in the day it was nothing but pro wrestling, whether he wrestled or trained others. He talked about Philly being a big help because he stayed here for about 3 years. Got to wrestle all around and used his money that he earned to get a laptop or an iPod. And man, he was rich, he says. But not in money, just being rich in spirit and happy. I'm happy to be immersed back into the wrestling community. And then says he wanted to give him back somehow. He said he can wrestle or buy everyone a cheesesteak tonight. Wrestle chants from everybody eventually breaks out. And he said, you know what? You can buy yourself a cheesesteak. I'm here to wrestle. And there was a couple weeks ago in Chicago, somebody tried to stop this before it got going. Daniel Garcia, if you had the balls to take me on, I will meet you on Rampage. The match is made official over commentary. Now, when Punk was making his entrance, he came up to a kid dressed like Orange Cassidy. Why do I bring this up? Because after he got done in the ring, he sits on the apron, takes his Jordans off, and hands them to the kid dressed as Orange Cassidy. Said a couple things to him, which we didn't hear. And he gets the thumbs up, and I'm like, holy shit. Not the fact that they're from CM Punk, but those are expensive Jordans. Worn by CM Punk. You could do, like, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk, or anybody else who works in AEW, well, most people, took Jordans off and gave them to you. You don't wear those motherfuckers. You put them in a plexiglass or a plexiglass case to display in your house. Plain and simple. With a nice little plaque telling you where they come from and why they're important. No doubt about it. So we see what the falling out between Arn Anderson and Cody last week. So he's at a burn barrel, and he's outside Cody's house. He throws something into the burn barrel, and he says he's gone too hard with these days. And Cody's like, Arn, what are you doing? He's like, oh, you just noticed I was out here. Well, come on down, Cody. And Cody's like, yeah, you snuck into my house. What are you going to do, shoot me? And he sees Arn is burning one of his expensive suits. Arn tells him to give him his tie. This extra stuff isn't needed. Cody tells him doesn't need to throw it away. I get it, but Arn just slaps him and says, you threw us away. Cody grabs the tie and throws it in himself. So, I don't think it's going to be... Like, this is getting interesting, see where this goes. Maybe we'll get a darker side of Cody. Cody says he'll never turn heel in AEW. But never say never, in my opinion. I don't care what Cody says. He can say he'll retire before he turns heel. Bullshit. There is money to be made with a heel Cody Rhodes. No, I don't say turn heel and go join the rest of the Elite because, honestly, Cody Rhodes never felt right in the Elite in the first place. Anyway. Be interested to see where this goes. I'm hoping it doesn't lead to a Malachi Black loss to Cody Rhodes. They need to move on. Like, Cody needs to move on. He has lost to Malachi twice. There is no rematch. This isn't a rubber match type situation. Malachi beat him twice. Cody needs to move on, get more serious, and be less Hollywood. We get a video package if you watched the Road to second anniversary yesterday on YouTube for Bobby Fish. You would have seen it there as well. So, we get that video package, and Sammy Guevara's backstage said he's champ now, just like he said he would be. Then he gives his buddy Fuego a new truck. in a joking manner, so Fuego looks at him and is like, I'll put it on the line right now for a TNT title shot. They laugh it off, and he tells Sammy good luck. So, Bobby Fish versus Sammy Guevara. Bobby Fish comes through the forbidden door, as he, if I'm correct, is signed with MLW. So all the talent that have worked, all the companies that have worked, or talent from a company that has worked with AEW since 2019. AAA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, MLW, and Homicide, I think, is affiliated with Ring of Honor, so you can count that one too. That is every single major company in the United States and Japan. Outside of, I'm sorry, but New Japan is the major company. Everything else is second fiddle, in my opinion. But that's every major wrestling company that people give a shit about that is not named WWE working with AEW. It's good shit. It's absolute good shit. So this was a really good match here. Bobby Fish looking really good. The last time I saw him, I haven't seen Bobby Fish wrestle since about a month or two after NXT versus AEW started. I watched the first week on that first month and a half on the USA Network, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't deal with this. NXT is not what it used to be, and it's really now not what it used to be. So there's that. But this is the first time I've really seen Bobby Fish wrestle. Probably, I think the only thing I watched since NXT came up to the USA Network was War Games last year with the Undisputed Era and all them. So yeah, that would be the last time I saw Bobby Fish wrestle. I know he was injured earlier this year. I mean, Bobby Fish didn't have the best track record in WWE for being injured. Can't wait to see what happens here, but this was a good match. This was an absolute good match. Good starting title defense. Bobby Fish beat the living shit out of Sammy Guevara. If you want to tell Sammy Guevara survived winning this match, absolutely. He survived, barely getting away with the GTH onto Bobby Fish to pick up the win. Before that, it was all Bobby Fish. Sammy Guevara they traded strikes back and forth at the beginning of the match, but Bobby Fish went to the leg of Sammy Guevara, and like a shark smelling blood, that motherfucker went after that leg for the entirety of the match. Even kicked it while he was out on the apron, folding him in half, as JR said. But Sammy Guevara was able to get a GTH onto and hit it on Bobby Fish to pick up the win. I love the fact that this happened. I'm hoping that we get more of this. I mean, yeah, TNT Championship, the stars of AEW, in my opinion, should be fighting for the TNT Championship on pay-per-view. And every once in a while on regular TV. Bring people in from the Indies, bring people in from the Forbidden Door to challenge for the TNT Championship when we are not on pay-per-view, or like the second anniversary, or whatever, like Grand Slam or something like that. If it's a named episode of TNT's Wednesday night, like Bleach Break or Fight for the Fallen or any of those things, which even though I know next year we're getting quarterly specials on TNT, I hope we still get themed episodes of Wednesday night on TBS next year. I really hope we do. But if it's just a regular old episode of Wednesday night, or even on Rampage, Sammy Guevara or whoever's the TNT champion should be welcoming any challenge from all over the world, not just AEW. The big matches for the AEW TNT Championship happen on pay-per-view or the themed Wednesday night shows, or even on, if they want to do a themed Rampage, which they should do some themed Rampages as well. As soon as the match ended, it got fucking stupid as American Top Team and the Men of the Year came out. They all beat up on Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, and Chris Jericho came down, running to make the save, clear the entire ring out. And over a cloud of blues, they made a match for next week on Rampage, and a note on next week's shows, because next week, Rampage is going to be first, as we are going to be preempted thanks to the new deal for the NHL, in which it will be TNT on Saturday and Rampage on Friday live from the James L. Knight Center, while AEW on Saturday will be from an arena in Orlando. I can't remember the arena name in Orlando. Rampage is easy to remember because it's James L. Knight Center. We've been there before. So, there's that. Now, next week, apparently, or this week, one of the two, the Acclaimed are getting a tag team title match. They are the number one contenders for the TNT the AEW tag team titles, and they won their match on Friday's Rampage. I don't remember it actually being official for this Friday, so it might be next week. Then the big announcement was Tony Schiavone was in the middle of the ring with Aubrey Edwards holding a sack, a championship bag. One of those, I've had a replica title before from WWE, the Smoking Skull title, can't go wrong there. They ship it to you in a championship bag. It's a bag that fits the championship. Well, you have something like this here, and because TNT is not going to be the home on Wednesday nights of AEW starting January 5th, we're getting a women's TBS championship starting very, very soon. My one complaint about the belt is that why do we have to have the men's and women's secondary titles look exactly the same, except for the logo in the middle? TNT Championship having a round plate makes sense because the logo is round. TBS has a square type belt logo. Make the plate look a little bit more like the TBS logo. So there's that. That is going to be going on. I'm telling you right now, do not make the same mistake you make with the Women's Championship, the AEW Women's Championship. People are calling for Jade Cargill to win this championship and be the first ever champion. That would be the biggest mistake and would make that title absolutely worthless out of the gate. The AEW Women's World Championship right now is the most worthless title in this company because it's held by one of the most worthless wrestlers they have. I don't care if she's dating Adam Cole. I don't care who the fuck she's banging in the back or who the fuck she's best friends with. She is the drizzling shit as a women's champion. She needs to lose that title because right now that title is fucking worthless. If you take this title and you put it on Jade Cargill, who isn't even 1 year in the business yet, you're making that title worthless as well right out of the gate, and there will be zero hope for this for this women's division. There's almost no hope for the women's division right now. Get the title on somebody like Akrit Statlander or Thunder Rosa, even fucking Nyla Rose, because you can just have her squash people as she goes, would make sense. Do not put that title on Jade Cargill, or you just make this women's division that much worse. Jim Ross talks with Darby Allin to see what happened between him and MJF last week. Calling MJF a total ass. Says tonight's opponent for Allin is bigger. The challenge to deal with. Ross brings up him painting his face. He says he wanted to explain more about the night his uncle was drunk and was driving and passed away that night. He was in the car with him. He says he feels that which I don't know why we keep bringing this up, because Darby Allin has been open with this from day one. We don't need to continue to have Darby Allin go out there and be like, yeah, I paint my face because I feel like half of me died the night my uncle died. It's just old news. We've heard it before. We don't need to hear it again. Darby Allin versus Nick Comoroto. This match took place mostly in commercial. We come back from the break. Allin hit a coffin drop on Comoroto and he wins. Like, okay then. Then after the match, QT Marshall gets fucking stupid, comes in, hits Sting with a diamond cutter. Sting does not sell it, as he should not, because QT Marshall is worthless. And hits him with the scorpion. He kicks him in the balls, hits him with the scorpion death drop, and that is that. Here's an example of how worthless the AEW Women's World Championship is right now. It'd be like taking Kenny Omega and having him lose the championship to QT Marshall and having QT Marshall be the AEW World Champion. That's how worthless. That would make the AEW World Championship worthless. It would be the biggest mistake that AEW could do for this company. That's what you're doing with the Women's Championship. It's an equivalent of if QT Marshall was the World Champion right now. That's what you need to think about. Anyway. Dark Order looked to be buddies again, even though they bicker a little bit about Five putting his mask back on and everyone's all that stuff. And then we go to the ring, and Dante Martin is in the ring. Huge Dante Martin chant. He is over. He says the past couple of months he's proven he's a problem with a lot of people in the back. Even guys like Kenny Omega, who he's taken to the absolute limit. He says, I'm here to fight anyone they can put me in the ring with. Lights go down. We're out for a minute. A spotlight comes back up, and Malachi Black is there. Hits him with the mist, hits him with the wheel kick or the black mass. I don't like the name wheel kick, I'm going to call it black mass. Martin goes down, lights go back down, lights come back on, Martin is gone. Black stands there with the mic. He takes the mic, goes over to the corner, and says, the House of Black accepts, with Martin on the floor. I have no complaints about that match whatsoever. Dante Martin versus Malachi Black. Thank you. I'll take that. I don't know when it's going to happen. They did not give us a list of next week's show on for AEW because it is going to come after Rampage. So we will have that card on Friday next week. They didn't even. We'll have a card for next week's Rampage, probably on Friday or during Dark or Dark Elevation and on social media. So this is gonna be very weird, very very weird how the AEW's got to do this stuff. Ricky Starks in the ring. He talks about Taz being the FTW mindset and having this championship, which he says, this is the original FTW championship. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not the original version of the FTW championship. I'm pretty sure Taz had a different version when he first started. I think it was an old title belt and he put FTW and tape on it. Says he wanted to talk about Cage, wanted to fight Cage tonight in the Village Street fight, but Cage didn't show up to work, got some boos from the crowd. But before he could say anything else, out comes Brian Cage to fight with him. Powerhouse Arms and Hook yank Stark out of the ring, and we are getting a Philadelphia Street fight on Friday night. Should be taping right now. We get some hype from Thunder Rosa, Ruby Soho, Jade Cargill, and Sky Blue, as they are all apparently in the tournament for the TBS Championship. Honestly, in my opinion, all of December should be the TBS Championship tournament, with the finals being on the January 5th edition. The first night on TBS, the main event should be for the TBS Women's Championship. I don't think you should even put women on there. Just the AEW TBS Championship. That should be your main event of the January 5th edition of AEW. Have the tournament, have a 16-woman tournament, maybe even a 32-woman tournament if you can get some women from outside of the company, and go out there from December, the beginning of December to the end of December, having matches, dark elevation if you have to, which I wouldn't do that. Wednesday night, Friday night, that's twice a week. You can have many matches, a match each night if you have to, and get as many matches as you can in and crown the champion on the first night. That makes the most sense to me. Hikaru Shida versus Serena Deeb. If she's able to win this match, Hikaru Shida will get herself a nice little glass-looking trophy that says the first woman to win 50 matches. Of course, the first person in AEW to win 50 matches, and I believe the only person going into this night to win 50 matches was Jungle Boy. But could Shida join Jungle Boy? Yeah, I had to do some research there, but there's a lot of people actually with 50 wins now, but the only one that was in the women's division close to is Hikaru Shida. Yeah, this match was, Serena Deeb was doing everything she could to make sure Hikaru Shida could not get her 50th win. She was going down with a loss if Serena Deeb had anything to say about it. And you know what? Serena Deeb made that happen as she beat the shit out of Hikaru Shida's leg for majority of this match, but Shida would not go down. She would not fall. And then, of course, Shida got some moves in, Falcon Arrow and all this other stuff, like hitting everything she could. But Deeb was like, fuck this shit, you're not beating me, so I'm going to beat the shit out of your leg. Put in the Serenity Lock, but destroyed the shit out of her knee, pulled it back, got her to tap out. Shida did not cross 50 wins. Now, Deeb takes the trophy that was outside, that was meant if she cracked it, if she was to beat 50, and cracked her over the head, then throws it down on the mat. The trophy breaks in half, and that was that. Backstage, Alex Marquez is with Darby Allin. He says, congrats on the win, but MJF asked Tony for a match against you next Wednesday. He says, of course. I never thought he'd ask. Suddenly a limo pops up. Arlen has, of course, his skateboard and stuff. Drops everything, takes his jacket off, takes his shirt off. Is like, come on, motherfucker. Chair shot to the back by a masked man, a.k.a. Sean Spears. More masked men come out. They beat the living shit out of this guy. It's clearly the Pinnacle. Warlow with a big, huge F10 after he gets lawn darted into a stop sign, which, what the fuck was that? They beat him up. MJF comes out, obviously. Just strolls, grabs the fucking skateboard, skates on it for a second, gets over there, chokes him with the skateboard. They make their way back in the limo as Darby Allin is out of it. Now, Darby Allin has not been cleared to compete next week, so that match will not be happening on Saturday. On Rampage, it will be, I guess we do have 4 matches on Saturday. Wow, that's an interesting thing. CM Punk, Daniel Garcia, Jade Cargill versus Sky Blue. Both women are in the TBS tournament. Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage for the Philadelphia Street Fight. And the Lucha Bros versus the Acclaim for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Backstage, Leo Rush talks to Dante Martin, says he's a huge fan. It's not sure if Martin knows him, but he's a businessman. He wants to talk about business. Sees Martin in an undervalued commodity. He says if you take this challenge from Malachi Black, you're going to need some guidance. He's going to have his people call Martin, and they can talk soon. When does Darius come back? I mean, Darius Martin has been gone for the majority of this year. I don't know when the last time Darius Martin actually wrestled a match. But it's been a very, very long time since this guy has actually been there. So I don't know what's going on with him, what's going on with this guy, but we saw Darius Martin one time when I believe Dante took on Eddie Kingston in a dark match, and he hasn't come back since. I don't know what's going on with that. If Darius Martin's not going to come back and it's just going to be Dante, that's fine, because Dante's killing it. He would be a great guy to win the TNT Championship in the future. AEW Championship, maybe one day, maybe, but not anytime soon. But Dante Martin, as a solo act, is killing it. Maybe Darius doesn't come back. Maybe Darius does come back and he turns on his brother, and we have Darius versus Dante. We have Dante Martin versus whatever the fuck Darius's indie name was. I can't. Skywolf, I think is what it was called. The Skywolf. Yeah, I can see that. John Moxley versus Pac versus Andrade El Idolo versus Orange Cassidy versus Lance Archer versus Matt Hardy versus a Joker card. Orange Cassidy and Pac started this match, a revisit of the Revolution match between these two in 2020. So they had themselves a match here. They wrestled for about 2 minutes. Then out comes. Let me see here. Out comes... Who was out next? Out came... After the 2 minute mark, out came Andrade. Andrade came out, and of course that stopped Pac doing whatever he was doing because him and Andrade had beef. Andrade, of course, got assistance from Chavo Guerrero, and Chavo, who got fired, quote unquote, aka went back to work on Young Rock. He'll be back later. After about 2 minutes between those guys, out comes Matt Hardy. We have Matt Hardy out for a bit, and then we go to commercial break about halfway through the 2 minute mark. Lance Archer makes his way out during the commercial break, and he just goes ham on everybody. We come back. John Moxley, of course, is the final man to come in for the outside of the Joker. He comes out into the crowd. Him and Archer just go at it immediately after the 2 minute mark. The only man it could have been the Joker is Hangman Adam Page. The only man who it could have been. So Hangman Adam Page fights. He just takes everybody out. He's going ham on everybody. He's making everybody just look as foolish as he could be. He's like, I'm coming to win this because I'm going to be the next AEW World Champion. It comes down to him and Moxley. Moxley's up. Hangman's up. They're fighting up top. Moxley gets beaten to a point where he actually stuns Hangman, but he's beaten so badly he falls off. Hangman gets up, pulls the chip off of the thing, and Hangman Adam Page is your winner. The only outcome it needed to be was Hangman Adam Page coming in as the Joker. The only outcome it needed to be for the winner was for Hangman Adam Page, the first man to win beat Joker in 2 casino matches and win both those matches, as he was the original Joker, and he also won that match, went on to face Chris Jericho, and lost. This time, he's winning the AEW World Championship. People were wondering, how are they going to get the Hangman versus Omega for the AEW World Championship? Well, there you go. People are wondering, well, I wonder what this is going to do for Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson's run. Bryan Danielson just fucking got here and has 1 win on his record. I don't give a shit how many matches he would win over the next month. He is not getting a world title match for a very long time. Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, as you saw at Grand Slam, do not need the world title. Those two are going to have a match at either Revolution or Double or Nothing without the championship being a factor. Maybe Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson have a match that keeps Bryan Danielson ends up losing, and Kenny Omega stops him from getting a world title shot, or the other way around, where Bryan Danielson actually gets a title shot for beating Kenny Omega at Revolution or Double or Nothing. People need to stop being, oh, well, it's Bryan Danielson. He's up here and everyone else is down here. Bullshit. The match at Full Gear 1 year later needs to be Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. That is the next pay-per-view. That is a month and a week away. A month and I think it's on the 16th, right? Something like that. A month and 10 days away. Something like that. That is your match you are going to see. Hangman Adam Page walks out of Full Gear, the AEW champion. Kenny Omega can reel. Him and Bryan Danielson can pick up back where they left off, and that match can be built up for a gimmick match if they have to. Maybe we get a 60-minute Iron Man match at Revolution between Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson. No titles, no bullshit. Everyone's banned from ringside. Even Don Callis. It's just one-on-one, 60 minutes. You go and you have yourself a banger of a match. Anybody thinking that, oh, Bryan Danielson should get the next title shot, why? What makes Bryan Danielson so fucking better than everybody else who has been here, busting your ass, winning matches, getting their rankings up? Bryan Danielson has had 3 matches. He does not need to be in the title picture for a year. Bryan Danielson could be challenging Hangman Adam Page, or if MJF or anybody else beats Hangman before then, they could be the ones challenging Bryan Danielson, could be challenging them at All Out, or even at Full Gear in 2022 for the world title. Not before then. But right now, Bryan Danielson is not the guy who's going to be winning the AEW World Championship. A bunch of these smart marks out there are like, oh, Bryan Danielson should be the next AEW World Champion. Bullshit. Hangman Adam Page, you've been building this program for an entire year. Slowly but surely, the story has been, hell, you've been doing it with Hangman for 2 years. The story has been, Hangman Adam Page has a fear of failure. A fear of failure. That has been brought up by Colt Cabana. Here we are now. Can Hangman Adam Page beat Kenny Omega for the AEW Championship? Yes, it needs to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then you're just wasting everybody's time. The last 2 years, the story of Hangman Adam Page falling from grace, falling out of fanfare with the Elite, going on his own, winning the tag team titles with Kenny Omega, holding the tag team titles for a good long time mostly because of COVID. I think if it wasn't for COVID, I don't think those guys make it all the way to Full Gear. Not Full Gear, I'm sorry, Double All Out as the AEW Tag Team Champions. I think they would have lost them on the way there. But anyway, losing the tag team titles with Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega just pushing him away, wanting to go be a single star, having these two meet in the finals of the Eliminated Tournament at Full Gear last year. The winner going to Winter is Coming to face Jon Moxley. And that person ended up being Kenny Omega, who's been champion ever since. The longest reigning AEW champion, who has won by hook or by crook every single time, except for when he faced Jungle Boy, because you don't have him win that way. So it's going to come down to this. Hangman Adam Page, he lost that Eliminated Tournament match to Kenny Omega last year. Has been down on his luck, had the whole thing with the Dark Order. I don't want to see him go back to the Dark Order. I don't want the Dark Order to even interact with him coming up. That's done and dusted. Leave it alone. Hangman goes out there. And if you really want to do it right, you can have the Elite try to help. Hangman and the Dark Order do not interact between now and Full Gear, when this match has to happen. Doesn't happen on a regular episode of AEW. Doesn't happen on a Rampage. Happens at Full Gear. That is next month. They're not going to have a special show this month, which is fine. We got a pay-per-view and Grand Slam last month. So, Kenny Omega takes on Hangman Adam Page. The Dark Order does not interact with Hangman at all. Like, he ghosts them, they ghost him, whatever. They don't interact, they don't do anything until Full Gear, when the Elite try to help Kenny Omega retain the title. That's when the Dark Order come out, even up the odds, remove the Elite from the picture, and then they take the championship, and you give it to Hangman Adam Page. It's done so well. There was no other reason other than for Hangman is your champion coming up. He has got to be the champion. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, what does the AEW TBS Championship look like? Well, here it is. The TBS Championship looks just like the TNT title. They just swapped the front face with instead of red, it's blue, and instead of TNT, it says TBS. Again, not a fan of this design. I think they could have went a little bit more squarish, make it look more like the TBS logo. But hey, it is what it is. But those are my thoughts on AEW on TNT tonight. Excellent show. AEW is just firing on all cylinders. Get rid of the Dan Lambert stuff. As soon as that stuff's out of the way, this show will be damn near perfect every single week. But that is all for this episode. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Mods of the France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. And find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I will see you guys on Friday for SmackDown and Rampage. And then, of course, next week will be SmackDown, Rampage, and then AEW after, of course, Monday Night Raw. What am I going to do for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday? I don't know. Probably nothing. Until then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.